Hi everyone, welcome back to another scrapbook layout video, and thank you for joining me again today. This is a layout, a sketch that I'm using by Laura Whitaker that you can find, I believe, on her blog. And I am going to follow this. What I liked about it was the big star element up in the left-hand corner. I was originally thinking I would do a star, but then when I kind of looked at my papers and my choices of papers that would be big enough for it, I kind of got the idea to maybe make my own Mickey ears. So I am going to go for it. I probably should have measured things a little better in the beginning, you're going to see, but I'm happy with the result. Using my Creative Memories cutters, I know I did a video where I used the large one and I had trouble with it, but I have since figured it out, and I didn't put enough pressure that first time. So here is my first mistake. Those little circles I cut for the ears were too small and I just didn't like them. And normally not a problem because usually you have lots of paper, but you know, I'm doing the spend less, scrap more, so I only have one of this sheet. Luckily, I still had this piece here. I probably would have been rather disappointed. Either that or I would have just left it in a circle. Now you're going to see these ears aren't even going to be a full circle because it just wouldn't fit a full circle. And you will also maybe notice that the body head itself is not a full circle because I wanted it a little bit larger. So probably could have done ears that were even maybe just the next size up as far as size, but it is what it is. And I still like the Mickey head. I do have a Cricut and I could have pulled it out and made sure to cut these, but I was being kind of lazy and I thought I didn't want to have to worry about lining up the paper right. And I knew there was a chance I could cut it wrong and then be really out of the paper. So I just did it this way. And for those of you who don't have a cutting machine, this is a good way to make a set of Mickey ears. Now, what I did was I marked where the ears were going to go so that I wouldn't ink those parts of that circle of the big head part so that it would look more continuous once I put the ears done. And when I go to glue them down, I completely forget those marks are even there. And so those are tilted. So that's the second thing that I kind of did wrong. But in the end, it worked. I did start to cut one of the ears, you can tell with that little curve, because I was thinking I could butt it up against the Mickey head and it would kind of look a little smoother, but I didn't worry about that too much. They still are tucked underneath. I will show you here in just a few minutes my solution for kind of making it look like one solid piece. So these are the photos. I have 3 photos, and again, I'm going to glue down the wrong photo first. These weren't necessarily taken in order, but this is the order that I'd like to take them in, or that I wanted them on the layout. And this is another thing that I always love to take pictures of, is that sign where you enter Disneyland, you know, here you enter the world of today or whatever. I can't remember what it says offhand, but you can see it there in the photo. These are all cut down, I want to say, to 3 by 3 inch. Normally, you guys know I do a lot of full photos and things like that. And, but I liked this layout. I knew I wouldn't be able to I could have probably done one double page layout with what I had left over, but instead I'm actually going to get this layout and then one more. So they are more single pages than usually, but that's just, I wanted these photos to go together. I actually didn't know if these photos I had printed at 4 by 6, not realizing that I was going to end up using them so small. But luckily they fit really well. Now I'm following the sketch fairly closely at this point. I have the strip, I have the Mickey head in place of the star. I have the photos on a strip of paper and then a striped strip underneath that. And what I'm doing now is I'm gluing this onto the striped strip. I was thinking, I kind of wish I wouldn't have done this I wanted to put them together so I would know where to glue the Mickey head down at. Like I said just a second ago, I kind of wish I wouldn't have done that though, because I think the blue paper is slightly crooked on there. But once it was down, and I don't discover it for a while, and it's not that noticeable, so it is what it is. But I wanted to make sure where the part of the Mickey head that didn't get the full circle cut went behind this so that you wouldn't know it was there. And that is also where I messed up and didn't, because I was paying so much attention to that, that I didn't get the inked parts of the head right. And then my ears didn't fit right. So I wasn't sure what to do about that. But then I thought, you know what? I have elements go off the page all the time. So I'm just going to have his ear go off the side of the page as well this time. And I did trim it down a little bit along that curve just to be able to tuck it in a little better. And so I'm going to add the other ear, and I like how it looks. So there I'm just going to trim off the ear. And so at this point, it's kind of obvious, I think, because of the pattern of the paper, you can kind of tell that it's not one full piece. So I'm going to take my white gel pen and I'm going to add stitching lines around the ears and the head, but I'm not going to go around the head where it goes in front of the ears. So when you see it, it will look like one. That just helps make it look like one solid piece instead of three different pieces put together, because you don't pay attention so much to where the ears meet the head, whereas you are paying more attention to the faux stitching look. If you did real stitching on this too, that might look really cute. I didn't even think about it at the time. Anyways, so I'm going to do that. I don't make you sit through all of that, but then look at this here. I was so proud of this moment. I actually used this tiny little red piece. I was sitting here thinking, I wish I still had a border, and I really wanted to bring out the red, and I didn't even realize I had this tiny little piece left, but I found this piece and it was like the perfect length, and I was so happy with it. So I used this punch that I haven't used in years, and I saw Jessica, I believe her channel name might be Jessica Scraps. She used this punch in a video for my birthday YouTube hop, and I was like, oh, I love that punch. And I was so excited when I came in my room and found it. And I realized I need to rearrange my punches a little better so that I use them a little more. The way I have them now, I know I have border punches in that spot, but I didn't realize that I wasn't using the border punches in the back. You'll have to see when I do a room tour. I can kind of explain that a little better. And another piece that I'm using here, you might notice, is that tiny little pattern stripe strip that the very first layout, I needed 2/4 inch stripe strips, and they weren't even. Simple Stories is one of those companies that the paper's not the full 12 inches, so I cut down a tiny strip to make it easier to measure the 1/4 inches. And so that was left over. I didn't think I would get it used, but I'm going to get it used as well. So I'm just adding some scrappy tape. You can see it just barely fits the scrappy tape. So I'm going to add some of those for the cluster down in the bottom right hand side. Again, I believe that was also part of the sketch. So when I was doing this, I already knew that I wanted to add this castle sticker here. What I like about this, it just kind of, it totally represents Disneyland in many ways, but it also brings the black down. So from the black Mickey head, all the black that's in that area, it's bringing it down to that right hand cluster. So the page is mostly going to go top left to bottom right, kind of a diagonal cluster series this time rather than, the triangle of 3. So I'm just going to glue those down, just adding a tiny little pencil line just so I have somewhat of an idea of how far in I wanted these to go. I did kind of put them there to measure with the castle. You probably saw that I added foam tape behind the castle. I'm going to add some foam tape behind other elements. So I am using close to my heart thin foam tape. It's probably my favorite ever foam tape. I really like the foam tape strips from scrapbook.com. Those are my second favorite, but they have a little bit more thickness to them than this from Close to My Heart. So when I want something a little thicker or along those lines, that's when I will use the strips from scrapbook.com. Now the title, I was actually planning on putting the title underneath, but when I realized that I really liked this magic title, but it was red, I knew it wasn't going to look good underneath with that red border strip. So I I'm not that crazy about where it is now, but it does stay there and I like it in the end. I think it looks good because it really brings that red up there. So now I have the black in the top left and the bottom, and now I have the red at the top left and elsewhere kind of more towards the bottom. So now I'm just playing around with the stickers. And then I had the fun this way, and this was one sticker when I was choosing these pictures. I knew I kind of really wanted to use these pictures because of that sticker that said fun this way. So I'm going to tuck it under here. And this is not my favorite like thing ever on a layout, but what I really like is the way that that arrow underneath the fun this way not only kind of points to the sign in that picture, but it's showing it's the entrance to Disneyland. So it's kind of, it goes really well there. And I'm happy that I put it there. I'm glad that I put it there. I was just looking for more elements to use, and on these 2x2 cards was one of those lanyards that a lot of people wear. We don't usually do the lanyards and the pins and all that. I think if I got into that, I would be, number one, broke, number two, totally obsessed, and I would have to go to Disneyland all the time just to get all the pins, right? So I'm not even going to go there with it. I won't even allow myself to buy one because I know that that just is a rabbit hole I don't want to go down. I think it'd be awesome. And yeah, just not going to go there. So anyways, just checking through, but I did like that little, it says Fun Pass on it. So I kind of tucked it behind the camera just to give that cluster a little bit more something to it. So yeah, then I added a few brads around the page, and I'm adding the rest of these flower stickers, all the little stickers. Don't forget to take a look at your sticker sheets and pay attention to the little stickers. You can see the little hearts there. That blue heart that I just put up by that Fun Pass, kind of right where I was just in that very top left corner, I'm actually going to forget that it's there because it almost looks camouflaged in with that pattern paper. So I actually add a churro sticker over that in the end. And I was like, oh, darn it. And I tried pulling the churro sticker up to get it out, but it didn't work. I was a little bummed about that, but it is what it is. So again, I wanted to use more of these word stickers. I have a lot of them to use. I'm not afraid to have any of these left over because I will use those elsewhere, but I just kind of wanted to use them on these layouts. I really love word stickers. So I am going to add a few around the page, and I am even going to add a couple over here by this random area, and it's so subtle. It does kind of throw off the whole trio of cluster thing or just the left to right, but I honestly didn't care because I liked the words. I wanted the words there, and so it's my page, right? So do what you like with your pages. So I put them there, and I think I add a little heart. Here's where I put this Cheerio sticker down, totally forgetting that heart was there, and I was looking for a little heart to go next to that little cluster, and I couldn't find one. And I realized, oh, that's because I covered it up with the churro sticker. I did decide to move these. I just had the one word sticker underneath the castle, but I decided to move it so I could get more word stickers since I have two in the other two cluster areas. See, here's where I'm like, oh, darn that sticker. But I wanted to move the blue one that was up there in that top cluster down so there would be a blue heart sticker next to the yellow word strip instead. But I thought it was done, but then I looked over at my punches again and I realized I have this punch I don't use. I never remember to use it. So I will leave a link below. This is an awesome punch, but what I wanted to do was just add a little Mickey head, and once I put him here in the castle, it looked so cute, like he was peeking out of the castle. I tried like the cream color that kind of matches the paper. I'm going to try a blue. I can't remember what the other color I try was, but I do try a few different colors. I'm just looking at the scraps because obviously I didn't want to use a nice big piece to just make a, you know, little tiny Mickey head. And I do end up going back to just the cream colored one. And what I do is I just put foam tape on the next to the right hand side of the castle door, just a really thin piece. And then I put a glue dot on the left ear so that it will stay stuck down on the left-hand side, so he kind of looks like he's coming out of the building. And I think it's really cute. I'm happy that I looked over and saw that punch, so you can kind of see what I'm talking about there. Yeah, that is pretty much my lay. Oh, but the last thing I did do was I took a pen and I drew very loose lines, two of them around the layout, because I felt like it needed framed, but it couldn't be cut down at all really without moving a ton of stuff to frame. So I just drew the pen lines and that finished it off. So thanks for watching, and one more layout to this series. So I will see you there. Bye.